Hey guys, welcome back to Through the Screen. I'm Erika.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Emily.
We hope you guys have been enjoying our episodes so far, liking, commenting, and sharing with your friends. And if you missed any of them, head on over to our channel and watch. And if you're not already, be sure to subscribe while you're there. This week, we're discussing a very important animal issue, so we hope you'll follow us once again as we join together via Skype to bring you conversations through the screen.
This episode we will be discussing the barbaric trend of taking selfies with wild animals at zoos or so-called sanctuaries. We will also be bringing you a heartwarming story about a brave police dog that was reunited with his partner, discussing 5 simple acne-fighting remedies, and finally sharing our thoughts on this week's switch-up episode of Dancing with the Stars. First up, selfies with wild animals.
So, when you travel, especially overseas, often one of the best parts of a trip is seeing exotic or beautiful animals. And tourists often jump at the opportunity to take a photo with a lion, tiger, slow loris, or other wild animals that are offered for a photo op. However, the sad reality is that these animals suffer sad and often abusive lives for these highly demanded photos. Some of these places are what are called roadside zoos and are often found in remote, exotic locations such as Indonesia. However, the majority of them are found in places that you wouldn't expect, that front as animal sanctuaries or conservation facilities. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Many of the animals used are endangered species, and the money used for selfies with them goes into further torture and abuse. So we just wanted to give you a little overview of this practice, what exactly is being done, and why you should always say no to these photos.
Some of the most common animals used for these photos include lions, tigers, bears, and slow lorises. However, other animals may be exploited as well, such as birds or reptiles. Generally, it's common for tourists to take photos with cubs, so these facilities constantly bring animals to keep the demand for cubs, which are usually used at 8 to 12 weeks old. These facilities often claim to be rescues or sanctuaries. However, such facilities do not breed their animals or keep them in such conditions, so this is a common lie told to tourists. The cubs used are taken from their mothers almost immediately and constantly handled by humans so that they will imprint on them. Rather than getting the sleep they need as growing animals, cubs are constantly woken up to take photos and are yanked around on chains or disciplined with different objects or by blowing in their face. Animals are also often drugged to stay sedated, yet alert for these photos. They spend the majority of their time confined in small cages until they are needed again, with little food, water, or care. Though many wild animal photo ops are available at zoos or parks, many are small, dirty, in or remote or small side of the road locations commonly called roadside zoos. Though the specific annual profit for these types of attractions isn't known, the sad reality is that the money made from taking photos with wild animals don't go to the care sanctuaries, but to further exploitation.
So, as we mentioned, a lot of people are under the impression that places like this only exist in exotic locations such as Thailand and Indonesia. Yes, this practice is common in these places, however, the ability to take photos with wild animals is also found in the United States and Canada, where they are disguised as animal sanctuaries or common zoos. Some of these places include South Carolina, Tennessee, Nevada, Colorado, Oregon, Florida, Oklahoma, Arkansas, North Carolina, and the Canadian provinces of Ontario and Alberta.
So a few years ago, I went to the Ottawa Super X, which is basically this big amusement park filled with tons of rides and stuff. It happens every summer, so I used to go every summer to enjoy the rides. But there was one particular year where my dad was like, oh, there's kind of like a mini circus going on. Why don't we go and watch the tigers and the lions jump through fiery hoops and stuff? And I was like, okay. And I was young, and I did not know what was going on behind the scenes. Pretty much, I was just blinded by everything. And so I was sitting on the thing, and I noticed on the other side of me that there's like this big lineup for photos to be taken with a baby lion cub. And I was like, oh, I want to do that, I want to do that. So we got into line, and I was watching the tigers, and I've always loved tigers, like, since I was little. Like, if you saw my bedroom, you'd know. So as I was in line for this lion cub, I was hearing stories of the people that were approaching the lion and how they were just like, they noticed that the lion was like tired, like thirsty, it just wasn't getting like the necessities that it needed, and he was just out in the hot, like boiling sun to take the photos, and the poor cubs. So I was listening to those, and I was also watching the tigers jump through the things, and I noticed one part where the tiger didn't do what he needed to do, and so the trainer whipped the tiger, and I looked at my dad and I'm like, I'm done. So I got out of the line, and he's like, well, don't you want a picture with the lion? And I was like, no, because if they're doing that to, like, the tigers out in the open, what are they doing to this cub? And so I really looked into it after that, and I haven't had the urge to take a photo with a lion, because I know now what happens, which is very sad. That's kind of my personal story on it. The good news is that there are places that have said no to wild animal selfies. These include facilities within the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries, the John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, and the Florida Keys Eco Discovery Center, Treetop Adventure Park in Nashville, the Adventure Dome in Las Vegas, and Magic Springs and Crystal Falls Water and Theme Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
So, above all, we just want to remind you that if you are taking a trip with family or friends and visiting a place with animals, that you research the facility to make sure your money isn't going towards abuse or practices like this, and that the facility is a sanctuary for rescued animals that cannot be released back into the wild. We also encourage you to not visit zoos in general or places that have tiger shows, but instead to look for a facility in your area that serves as more of a rescue and rehabilitation sanctuary for animals that were rescued from circuses or as pets or, whatever the case may be, and are treated with respect. Because those places usually ask for donations rather than charging money, and that goes into further care and research. So ultimately, taking photos with wild animals is just another practice similar to grabbing sharks and dolphins out of the ocean and taking photos with them. So we have to remember that our actions serve as an example for our children, and we need to teach the next generation how to be kind to animals and respect their natural instincts and habitats, because if not, as the documentary Racing Extinction emphasizes, there may be nothing left for us to enjoy. So overall, we need to remember that animals are not props for our amusement, especially since this past week we celebrated Earth Day. We need to celebrate the Earth and all of its creatures. So we hope you learned something from this discussion and that you'll keep this in mind the next time you travel. We will be linking everything down below, so of course feel free to let us know what you think in the comments.
So, a man's best friend is another way to describe this week's heartwarming story. It's about a German Shepherd named Bruno who was shot in the face while on mission with his partner. Bruno was bleeding profusely but quickly returned to his owner's side. Bruno was rushed to the animal hospital where he had emergency surgery to get the bullet out of his lungs, and after was reunited with his partner. His partner, Officer R.J. Young, has now adopted Bruno as his own, and he will be covering all of the medical expenses, and the two will now share a forever bond that will last a lifetime. So if you guys are interested in reading and watching the video, we will link that down below, but I'm going to warn you that it is a tearjerker, so yeah.
So this week, rather than testing a product, we again just wanted to share a few quick and easy tips that you can try using products found at home. This week, we're focusing on the dreaded acne and how you can fix those problem areas using only 1 or 2 simple ingredients.
So first up is to simply steam your face with filtered hot water to prime your pores. Crush an aspirin tablet and mix it with a few drops of water and form a paste. Apply to all those pesky, pimply spots and leave it on for 5 minutes. Rinse off and pat dry. The aspirin will help reduce inflammation and redness. And the second is mix 2 teaspoons of lemon juice with a pinch of salt and apply to affected areas. Leave on for 15 to 20 minutes. Lemon is an astringent and will zap oil right off your face.
Another great tip uses apple cider vinegar, and all you have to do is dab it on the problem areas and leave it overnight. The only issue here is the smell, but it's great at removing excess dirt, oil, and makeup and dissolving dead skin cells. Another tip uses witch hazel, a type of plant that is extremely beneficial for your skin. Like apple cider vinegar, just apply it generously to your skin after soaking it into a cotton ball. It kills bacteria inside the pores, and along with reducing acne, witch hazel is also great for blisters, bug bites, poison ivy, and more.
So the final remedy is one that will also keep the vampires away, and that is garlic. This may not be anyone's go-to acne treatment as the smell isn't that great, but smashing a clove of garlic, mixing it with a 1/3 cup of warm water, and applying it to your face is a great way to get rid of blemishes. The garlic serves as a great antiseptic and antibacterial, so if you can get over the smell, this could be one for you. So we will of course link all of these tips down below, and let us know if you've tried any of these or if you have any tips of your own for fighting acne. So we want to hear from you.
This week on Dancing with the Stars, we witnessed and took part in Switch Up Week. This is where America takes all the professionals and stars and mixes them up, pairing them with a new partner. By doing this, it shows us who actually has dancing ability and who is being led by the professional. So what did we think of this week's episode?
Well, that makes more sense now because I was really confused when I watched the videos on YouTube as to why Niall and Peta weren't together. Because I didn't get to watch the actual episode. But I really liked Niall's dance. I think he's really talented, and I'm always rooting for him. And so I wasn't surprised when he got high scoring numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, he got the...
I really like Niall. Also, Jody, I think. I enjoy Jody's dance a lot as well. I'm very bad with names, but I think dance is one of my passions, so I love dance in general, so I think all the dances are amazing, but those two were my favorite.
Yeah, Niles was my favorite as well. He got the first 10 of the season, and a lot of people thought he got 3 10s because the judges held up the wrong numbers, I guess, which was super confusing and kind of disappointing because you think that he got higher. But 37 out of 40 is still a really great score, and I'm just really happy that he got the first 10 and that he's doing so well in the competition. I also really liked Jody and Val's dance, and I think it was funny because Val was on an episode of Fuller House, so that's likely the reason that they were put together for Switch Up. So I think that was really fun to actually see them dancing together. And I think she's really getting into her dances now. She's kind of putting that, like the thinking about it, she's putting that aside and really getting into the dances. So I liked that. I also enjoyed Vaughn and Lindsay. I think even though, it was kind of cheesy, but I think it was kind of a cute dance, and it made me smile. And as I say, Whitney's always my favorite dancer, so I think Wanya and Whitney also did well. I think it was a great way to start the show. I think that Len and Max were really harsh this episode, especially Max, but I mean, obviously he's a professional, so he knows what he's looking for, and he has really high standards, but sometimes I was just like, geez, man, calm down. But yeah, so they were pretty harsh, but I also enjoyed James Bay. He performed his song Let It Go, I'm not sure if he performed another one, but I know for sure he performed that one, but I really enjoyed that as well.
For me, my favorite was probably Ginger and Mark. I enjoyed like their dynamic and how like different Mark is from Val and choreography, and I really enjoyed that dance. And yeah, I mean Niall and Pete, and I mean Niall and Shauna were obviously really good this week. The depth of that performance was just amazing, and I was really annoyed with the judges and responses to that performance because you're literally holding up 3 10s, but you gave them 9s. Like, yeah. That's kind of like ridiculous. So
I thought that they said 10 too, which is why I was confused. Did they say 9? I don't remember.
No, they said apparently because how it takes place is they write the score down before they hold up the paddles. Oh. And whatever score they write down, that's the score that they give. And they gave a 9 on the score, so that's the score that they were supposed to put up. And they didn't. They put up 10s, and that's not cool. Yeah. But I didn't like that. So yeah, those were, my favorites as well. So we'll be back again this week with a new episode and our critique of, I believe it's most memorable like dances, as in like famous dances.
Yeah, like from movies, TV.
Yeah, from like movies and stuff. So it'll be really interesting to watch that and critique that next week.
So this week we sadly heard the news that actor and legendary pop icon Prince passed away at the age of 57. For decades, Prince has been a music icon, blending pop music with many other genres, and has become a household name. So this week, as a tribute to him, we would like to discuss some of our favorite Prince songs.
So as with the way that we usually always get our news, I first saw this on social media, and my first thought was, this definitely cannot be real. I thought it was another one of those hoaxes that we often see, but sadly it was true. And I remember growing up, one of the songs that I loved was When Doves Cry. I really, really enjoyed that song, and I loved the kind of like 80s sound that it had. I believe it peaked in the mid-80s, was when it was highest on the charts. But it really has that kind of vibe, kind of like The Cure, kind of, I don't know, that kind of vibe. I really love it. I also love the song Raspberry Beret. So those are a couple of my favorite songs.
So Prince isn't in my type of music, but Charlotte showed me 2 songs before we started filming, and I chose Party Like It's 1999. I feel like it's a song that my mom would dance to in like an 80s dance room ball thing. I don't know if those exist still, but I feel like she'd be one of like dancing to that. It has like a Michael Jackson groove, but that's my favorite.
So for me, I picked Purple Rain, because ever since I was a little kid, I've loved that song, and not only that, it's one of Prince's most well-known songs, and it's a song that he won an Academy Award for, I believe. So it's probably one, like I said, it's probably one of the first songs that people remember when they think of Prince, and it's definitely a song that it is now going to have like even more special meaning because now that he's gone. So
yeah, and I feel like it's this is one of the bigger shocks that we've had in the past few years. And I actually read somewhere that even if you're younger and you don't know who Prince is, chances are your inspiration, they thought of Prince as their biggest inspiration. So he definitely touched a lot of people, and social media is definitely big about it right now. Snapchat actually has a Purple Rain filter, and Google is actually, the words of Google are purple, and there's rain in the background also for Purple Rain, so it's really huge.
And every single big city in America right now has purple as their lights, like the Empire State Building, and in Boston, the Zakim Bridge and the Garden are both lit up in purple tonight in honor of him, and I think I saw in Minneapolis they have a huge gathering rally outside of one of the first places he played. And the same in Brooklyn, New York, that was actually set up by Spike Lee, who was a dear friend of his. So, I mean, he's definitely one of those type of people that there'll never be another one. You know, he's up there with Madonna, and there will never be another Prince. Like, there will never be another Michael Jackson. There will never be another Celine Dion. There will never be another Mariah Carey. They just have all these iconic voices, and like most people, like Emily said, whether you're a fan of Prince's or not, chances are, like, people like Justin Timberlake, like, they were influenced by Prince. So it's like, if we didn't have Prince, we wouldn't have, people like Justin Timberlake and people like, probably Bruno Mars, because Bruno Mars seems like he is very, Prince eccentric and things like that. So it's like, it's crazy to think about that he's gone, but, and such a young age too.
So if you guys are interested in his music, I know that it's something that is pretty awesome to listen to. We know that some of his songs are on iTunes, so if you want to check that out, feel free to do so. And we are going to continue to keep his family in our prayers and thoughts, and it's just very sad, but yeah.
Okay, guys, that's our show. We hope you've enjoyed this installment of Through the Screen. If you did, be sure to like down below and also subscribe to the channel. We also appreciate any feedback that you may have. We post new videos every week, and we'd love for you all to join us and tell your friends. In our next episode, we will be discussing a brand new topic, so you won't want to miss it. Until then, thanks for watching, stay informed, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye!